Hello everyone! We are walking out to one of the melon patches. Well, I guess technically it's not a patch, it's just a raised bed with a whole bunch of melon plants, but this is where I've got my rainbow watermelons this year. Brand new one I'm trying. Hopefully the flesh turns out like this should, because I definitely have two different melons growing here. And you can see right here, a lot of these vines are completely dried up. We had hail like a week and a half ago that just singed right through them. So I think it's time to pick them since the vines are dead and they're clearly spewing fluid from how hot it is out here. It's about, oh geez, it's about 95 right now. It's supposed to be the hottest day of the year, but you can see that's what the vine should look like right about there. Got a little baby melon growing on there, but let's cut a couple of these big ones off and see how they look. Now normally you want to look for the dried up tendril next to the melon, but clearly these plants are, a lot of them are dead. This one's still alive, but it's going to be dead soon. So you can see the tendril right here all dried up, and then you also want to look at the bottom of the melon for a yellow spot. Now this one is a little white turning yellow. It's close, so we're gonna clip them anyway just because the vines are horrible and it's supposed to be like 103 degrees today, and we don't want these guys to spoil, because it'd be nice to give them a shot and try them out. All right, let's get this guy and this guy. You see that one's got a decent yellow. I mean, it's starting to turn white to yellow, so we'll give those a shot, and we'll take this one too. And we will go in the greenhouse and give them a cutting. All right, get down here to the greenhouse. And we are going to cut them up right here. All right, let's cut these bad boys open. So I'm gonna start with this little guy. And I'm gonna show you how to save the seeds while I'm in the process. Ooh, look at that. It's definitely ready for how much it's cracking. So clearly that is not what it's supposed to be. That is a red fleshed watermelon, although it has the exact same markings as the ones I was shown in the picture of my rainbow watermelon. I think the pictures from the regular one were taken in a transition period, because you can see some of the spots where it's a little bit orangish yellow, and I harvested one yesterday that was a little rotted and it was red with a little bit of orange in it. So I'm gonna put that one aside. We're gonna try out this guy. Make sure you don't have any other seeds in here. That one's looking pretty good. Sounds pretty hollow. This one's cracking too. Okay, so you can see these must be a little overripe, because you can see patches of orange in here. I think if I would have harvested these a little earlier, I would have gotten more yellow and orange swirls. So we'll check this guy out. Yep, same thing on this one. This one is even more ripe. As you can see, there's zero yellow and orange in this one. Maybe a slight trace. But I'd say these are probably a week and a half, 2 weeks overripe. And I think part of it was they ripened way too fast with the super downpour we had about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago with the hail, and then we had nothing but hot water or hot weather after that. So they probably grew really fast in the last week and a half, and none of it really showed up. But I mean, that's given me a little bit of hope for next year, because I'm going to take most of these seeds out of this one and plant them again next year. So it wasn't a complete fail, because you can definitely see the swirls of orange and yellow in this other one that we did. Let's see what it looks like. Yep, see, you can see some yellow here, you can see some yellow here. So I'm guessing it was just a little overripe. Yeah, it's very sweet. It tastes good, tastes like watermelon, but I can definitely tell it's overripe because the flesh is slightly less crisp, but still, all in all, a decent melon. Well, let's see, we'll go like this. So we're gonna cut this guy up. Just start putting the seeds into our strainer. So hopefully next year we won't get the crazy weather that we had this year, and these melons will actually turn out orange and yellow and red swirled. I'm going to harvest them slightly earlier than I did this year, but weather was definitely a factor this year here in Minnesota. We've had quite a drought this year. I actually don't remember it ever going this long without rain. I mean, we've only got maybe 3 or 4 showers since probably the end of March. Well, not March, maybe mid to the end of April or so. We just have not had any moisture this year, so I'm sure that was a factor on how these grew. The rest of my melons down in my big patch, down in my 1/4 acre patch, they're growing slow too. I mean, given their different variety, those are Polish honey melon, but it has not been a good year this year for growing. We had horrible Canadian wildfire smoke like May, June, and part of July. So a lot of my plants are stunted and set back. And get some more of these out. Now I did harvest one earlier today that was completely orange, and it had the same rind, the same skin, and it was definitely earlier because the seeds were only black on the edges, so that means they were just starting to ripen up to save seeds. And that's another thing. If you're gonna save seeds, make sure they're nice and black, unless that variety has lighter colored seeds, or some seeds are red, depending on the variety. There's only, like, I'm growing the Art Combs Ancient Watermelon this year, and those seeds are completely red when they're ripe. There's also a variety called White Citron, maybe it's Red Citron, but they also have completely red seeds when they're ripe. So definitely that's something you want to look for when you're saving the seeds. Okay, we got a good haul right here, even though I got a little more to take out on the other chunks of melon. Just want to get most of this flesh out. And then we're gonna go ahead, and I'm using my sprayer from in the greenhouse, but most of the time I'll be cutting these up inside the house and just run them under the sink in warm water. And make sure your strainer has small enough holes where it's not going to let the seeds out. But basically what you want to do is you want to make sure most of the flesh is out. And so pretty much after you got all the chunks rinsed out, the seeds will look like this. You can do a little better job of getting the chunks out, but what you want to do is you want to just set it down on the counter. I usually stick a couple paper towels underneath it and just let them air dry out of sunlight for a good 2 weeks or so. Then what you want to do is just bag them up in a small plastic bag and you're good to go. They'll keep for a very long time. So hopefully next year I'll harvest these a little early and we'll get a little more swirl in them. But not too bad for a first attempt. I was skeptical to see if they would even grow 2 or 3 colors in the first place. So check back next year. I'm going to plant them and hopefully we'll get some nice colored melons. I did have an orange one earlier this year that looked like it had some red. So until next time, like and subscribe. Jason from Toadstool Gardens.